burnout in the nature is the climate change, basically.
Yeah.
It's like nature saying, I can't take this anymore. It's like the LinkedIn profile
Yeah.
of nature. It's like, basta. I'm an architect and a storyteller, and if you're not new here in this channel, you have already heard my voice many times and have seen my face, especially much more closer to the camera, a lot of times. But today, for the very first time, we have a new co-host in presence, Khadija. And I'm really happy to be in a three-dimensional room with a three-dimensional person. And for the first time, we are also recording the episode in person. Again, everything about three-dimensionality.
Yeah, we can touch ourselves.
So, Khadija, our new co-host, and hopefully will stay in the future. I hope she won't escape. So how are you, Khadija?
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello. Thank you. And hello also to our viewers and listeners. And really happy to be here with you. And thank you for the warm welcome and for the tea and snacks. I'm really good.
And it's sunny today.
So. Yeah, it's super sunny. So
it's nice.
Good.
It's nice. Okay, so do you want to tell us about yourself a little bit, what you do, and also what we're going to talk about in the next episodes? Feel free.
Sure.
Please.
So, never know where to start from, but I'll start from my name again.
Okay.
So,
if you didn't
hear
it.
I'm Khadija.
Okay.
I was born in Italy, and my ancestors are from Senegal. And my profession is architect and placemaker. That's like the official title I would use.
The LinkedIn
and then I always need to explain what I mean by that. So what I do is basically I work with communities and mainly municipality or public administrations, and I try to make sure that people is involved in urban transformation, no matter changing a road or changing a whole city plan. So that's what I do. And when I say that I'm a placemaker, I mean that I put people in the center of every process. Okay. And it means that every time we transform or we want to do something in a place, we make sure that the place is livable and lovable for people that is going to use it. Okay. So in a short summary.
That's a great summary. I could never explain myself in anywhere near as clear as you. So, okay. What are we gonna talk about in this series, and how does it kind of like relate to what you do? And if you want to introduce that.
I mean, I'd say it relates to what we do, because it's a theme that we were wondering about together, and I feel that it's the essence of everything we do. So we are going to talk about care, and and the title that we decided for is what if we cared, what if cities care. So it might be something that it's from a personal sphere, but at the end, what we want to show or what we believe in is that care is the essence of how we are, but also is how we connect to our environment and our communities. So it's really interlinked to our jobs and our humanity, I will say.
That's true. And I think care is really such a big concept, and it, even though today in our culture it's mostly just seen as the caregiving job, but it's something that it really is a part of all of our lives, and it impacts a part of all the parts of our lives. But in the last years, especially in the Western culture, and I think it's reaching the East also, this whole concept of care has been kind of missing. And because it has been missing, both, in the sense of caregiving, but also, in the sense that we have care for other people or for nature or for our physical environment, because it has been missing, it has had a lot of impacts on the world that we are living, and all the negative impacts that now we see in the world, like whatever we are facing both socially and environmentally, a lot of it can be because of this lack of care and because it has been missing.
I feel it's also because we kind of reframed care, so it's crazy, and sorry if I say crazy, but it's not understandable, let's say that if I'm a poor person, it's my fault and I basically don't deserve to be taken care of or to be helped because I'm not strong enough. But if I'm rich, I can have all the care that I need for. I will have nuns, I will have gardeners and cooks, chefs, all for myself because I work for it and I deserve to have that help. But it's again, help and care are really interconnected, and more than being for a vulnerable person, it's about being taken care of myself, no matter my gender, identity, and physical abilities and beliefs. So I feel it's really the essence of what we are, and it shouldn't be something I need to pay for.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and we were talking about this before, that, for example, you said one reason that care has been missing, it's because it has been commodified and the people who need it the most cannot have access to it. But we were talking about also how in our culture, as we are becoming more individualistic, we are also losing this concept of care. So both we don't want to provide care, but we also lose to be taken care of, lose this opportunity to be taken care of. And another reason that I was thinking that, is resulting in this missing of care in our world is that because how we see care and how care is perceived, again, especially in the Western culture and especially in what we see as modernism and this idea of modernism, but basically care is not seen as a shared responsibility, as a shared, let's say, spiritual responsibility that we all take on, but it's seen as a burden. And as we are moving forward in this idea of modernity, this idea of seeing care as burden is becoming more and more seen, and which doesn't come with a pride. So and I think also historically, because care has been always associated with feminine or with, what is seen in our world as second-class citizens. So either woman or in the, worst case, also the migrant woman. Because of that, people don't want to be associated with that. So because care is, those are the people who are going to take care of our elderly, our children, and all those things. People don't want to be associated with that idea of femininity or weak or, not being important enough. And we see here in Milan, most of the elderly or also children, they are always walking with a migrant woman, either going to the supermarkets or coming from school and all those things. And so there's this thing that they don't want to be associated with it. And as I said, also because it's seen as a burden and not as something productive. Because when there's a productive job, when we go to work, we feel pride for that. But the same pride is not seen for the care work, even though, care can be much more important in the world of today rather than what we call as productive job. So, people don't want to provide that because it doesn't have a good view or a good value in the world of today.
No, absolutely. And you can see that also from the fact that if you need to step back and take care of your family, for example, of your children, and not being in a productive job, no one is giving you really a salary. I mean, maybe you have some subsidy from the state, but they are not called salary. If you need to take a step back and take care of, I don't know, a person with disability that is in your family, or even an elderly person, no one is paying you for that, because it's not seen as a job, but actually we know it's a full-time job, even more than a full-time job. So it's how we frame things that, as you were saying, kind of touch the way we see people is going to see us. And I don't know, I feel also when you were touching about different, like Western culture, of course, different culture and different location are also, sensitive on this theme in different ways. And for example, I will see in Senegal, even my grandma was taken care of like her whole life by a person from our family. And again, family also is a broad term. Like for me, everyone is family basically. But
everyone is auntie.
Yeah, that's it. And this is also why in general the whole community, even the whole street, knows each other, and they will take care of the children, they will take care of the elderly. So it's really a shared ownership. It's not about, this is my house, these are the walls I'm in, and so these are the 4 people I live in, and that's it. This is who I'm going to take care of. But it's really about who is my neighbor, and who is like who owns the shop below my apartment. It's about really a connection. It's not just about taking care of myself because I'm ill. So it's much more than that. And it will be much easier if we had less pride, because I feel it's okay to be taken care of, and who doesn't want that? Right. I mean, I want someone to take care of me. It's part of it's our love language at the end.
So it's very true. It creates connection, and I think we are the first thing that we are missing with not having care in the society. We are missing to be taken care of, but we are missing this ability of taking care of others also, and to feel the compassion that comes with that.
Absolutely. And I feel like sometimes we'll think that after the pandemic everything hit and everything changed and now it's worse than before. But if we see like that the pandemic caused 6.3 million deaths worldwide since 2022 July, but we have 4.2 million premature deaths caused by urban areas by pollution. And this is not something we talk about. Like our cities are making us ill and are making basically impossible to take care of ourselves. But we see things only when we see disruption. So when it's status quo, we kind of don't see what is happening. But I mean, we are dying because of the way we build things, which is something we need really to do something about. And I guess that's why we are working in the field that we are.
What we are doing.
And I don't know.
No,
it's complex. It's not something we solve.
Because it's cultural, and then the culture is impacting the way we build and we develop and whatever. But then again, the way we develop is worsening our culture. So it's a loop that gets worse and worse. So it's weird.
But there is hope.
And I think, as you were saying in the very beginning of the talk, that we see care only for the vulnerable part of the population, or what we call as vulnerable. We are all vulnerable in this world. But like who is seen as either the elderly or the children or teenagers or what. But I think like we really all need the access to care, both to take care of someone else and to be taken care of, because it at the end it makes our lives better in a general sense. For example, as a nearly in 5 months 30-year-old woman, I would have loved to have access to a caring community. For example, we were talking so much with my husband also that we learn how to cook from TikTok videos, or how to take care of our bodies, or what disease we have, you know, from Google or YouTube videos, and how, you know, more natural and nicer it would be if I could learn about different recipes from, you know, an elderly that is living in my apartment. She basically lives in the apartment in front of me, but I never talk to her. How much nicer it would be if I could learn, you know, about my body and how it's changing, and I'm approaching my 30s. If I had if I had access to a caring group of women that I could talk to. And the same goes, you know, to learn about marriages and, you know, taking care of somebody else's child before I have children. So I know, you know, some things before I go to this experience. Also taking care of elderlies before we reach this, you know, our older ages, because we basically we're living in a society that, you know, we are only hanging out with the people of our own age. So when we enter any other, let's say, from
stage
a stage of our life, it's a shock, and you feel alone because you feel that whatever is happening to your body, to your mind, you know, how everything changes in your brain
does.
It's only you know. And if you had access to people who have been there before, and, you know, you had access to that caring community that you could talk and take care of each other, in that there's also a lot of informal education, a lot of learning for both sides. And it's not only about physical care that you provide for someone. It's giving and taking a lot. Like, there's so much things that happen.
It's basically, it's about the human connection you have with people around you and with yourself as well. And it's really about how do you live with yourself? Because at the end, even when we see how OMS talk about health, because at the end care is really connected with health, they say that it's not an absence of disease, but it's about living fully your life, no matter your situation. So again, you don't pathologize. Pathologism doesn't exist. It's not a pathology. You know, it's not about having a disease. It's really about being able to live fully. And again, if those connections were natural, we would not be here talking about, you know, being in need of knowing how and where to take care of yourself. And it's one of those things, like, when you were talking about taking care of children, I was thinking I've always been taking care of children because my family, you know, family again, this broad term, I had always children in my house, in my parents' house, in our house. So it's something I kind of learned by doing it, by having an adult with me, etc. So it's again, how do we find those moments without making them, you know, artificial? And it's again so connected with the way we shape our houses, the way we shape our public space. It's super connected because those can make easy, or they can make a barrier to those connections.
Of course.
And I don't know, things that maybe they were more natural more spontaneous when a household was made by many people. If I think even my grandparents had a huge house and people were coming like from everywhere, and
staying
you know,
there
you
for
had
months.
For years. For years. And you had so many rituals that you were doing, like together, like even just eating together in 10 instead of 2. It makes
or one front of Netflix.
of one, because now we have also a loneliness pandemic on the top of it. It changed everything. I mean, it changed your quality of life.
Like our lives and our also cities are now very, you know, rigid spaces that are very separate. Before, everything was much more fluid, and spaces, there was much more in between the spaces, but now you have a space that you just walk, a space that you just sit, a space that you know, by losing that fluidity, we lose the fluidity also on our lives. So we have to put in very clear box also. This is where I socialize, this is where I work, this is where I
Yeah.
so
And it's also connected to what you were saying. So the fact that we kind of hang out with the people that is close to our age,
Yeah.
and this is also something that, of course, is affecting what you could learn or what you could even teach to someone else. Of course, teach, not being anyone else's teacher, but just about this exchange that can come naturally. But I'm thinking about, it's also that it's still cultural, and I always talk about public space because I believe that's it's free.
yeah. Should
Till
be,
now,
least.
at least. And it's where you can really meet anyone, and should be also safe. I mean, there's so many things. This is for another episode.
Yeah.
but yeah, it should be a place where everybody could hang out, and where you can really reach out for care, or
That's true.
or care for someone else, because I mean, it's there.
Yeah, and you could create connections that then later could also go to care.
Yeah. But it's an exciting thing to
No.
to
I
think
mean, it's
about.
hopeful because there are problems, we have work to do.
Yeah.
Also, in the beginning, you were saying that that because right now care is commodified, so we have to buy care. A lot of people, or even the planet, that they cannot pay for care, they cannot have access to care. For example, if you're a homeless person, if you're a child, if you're a teenager, or someone vulnerable, or a 30-year-old woman is not getting as much money to be taken care of. So if you don't have the money for it, you are not being able to also access care. And as we were talking before, we were saying that also that one of the stakeholders in this connection is also nature. That because nature cannot pay for someone to take care of it, so it's we are not taking care of it, and we have this view. We are making our view of commodification of everything and objectification of everything, and we are taking it also to nature.
Yeah.
And we are not taught to take care of our natural environment, but we feel this idea of ownership, and if I own a land, I can use it as much as I want. So I can, take materials, resources as much as I want from it, to the point that I exhaust it and I can't use it anymore. So our idea of ownership is not equal to having responsibility over something or taking care of something, but it equals to overpowering something or using something.
Yeah.
And we do this with nature, that then it reaches to climate change, because we use it so much and we pour our waste to it so much that then it becomes to the point of exhaustion. But we also do this with our own bodies. So the way that we commodify our bodies and we objectify ourselves to these productivity machines, instead of taking care of our body and give it what it needs, we say, no, my body should produce this many hours of work so it can be productive and be bring this much amount of money to my company or to myself. And that is what we see also creates burnout in us. And the burnout in the nature is the climate change, basically, of what we see. It's like nature saying, I can't take this anymore. It's like the LinkedIn profile of nature. Basta.
And it's really about knowing your limit, because sometimes, even with burnout, because sometimes you don't know how your body reacts to things. I mean, because your body always gives you signals, as nature does. Your body gives you a signal of how you are. But if you ignore those signals, is when then you are on a breakdown point. And I feel even when we look at nature, sometimes it's a bit on, like, from a person perspective, because I'm pretty sure if if we will not be here, nature will be fine. You know, it's also this thing of, for sure, we need to take care of nature. It's, again, how do you take nature with nature perspective? You know, it's always, how do you change that perspective? Because now, even when you talk about sustainability, is taking care of the environment because of the next generations. But what if nature is going to be a stakeholder in? But this is a conversation for another time.
We will have nature on the table.
We can.
I mean, part of
I mean, there is also an organization. Cannot remember. Someone, maybe a viewer will remember, in the Netherlands, that in their organization they have nature as a stakeholder. So it's really about shifting that mindset, that it's not just about us, but it's about us in relation to our community, us in relation with the environment and with nature. But it's amazing what, you know, this connection can become and can bring you, because at the end, as you were saying, it doesn't only enrich you, but it enrich also the other person or the other entity.
It's a give and take, and we see this like as if, you know, we are doing something for nature, even like, you know, the way that we view sustainability. I am, you know, as the human taking care of nature. But as you say, if we weren't here, nature would be fine. But it's a cultural shift to understand that nature is giving us so many things. It is taking care of us, and we need to take care of it to make this relationship going. It's like any friendship, any human connection, any, you know, it's basically our relationship with everything, but also our objects, you know. You know, to be of service and to be able to serve each other, we need to take care of each other, and the same goes for anything: humans, nature, objects, tables.
And you know, when you talk also about objects, it's amazing also how when we see things in the environment also that kind of have an influence on ourselves. So I'm thinking like green, it's something that impacts a lot on our health and on our bodies. Like when we are in a green environment, it will make our blood pressure lower, and so many things. But also there is this interesting theory that is called the broken windows theory, and it was made in the 80s by two sociologists. So what they say is basically just, I mean, I'm summarizing it, but what they say is when you are in an environment where a window is broken, that window and the whole environment will be not taken care of, so will become trash. But if basically we look for signals in a space to see how other people are behaving, are taking care of that space. So sometimes even having a tidy space, I mean, in our place, make our mind better, but also having a tidy neighborhood can affect the way people behave in those spaces.
That's true.
And sometimes it's so easy because it makes so many projects where they tell you who is going to maintain that. But actually, most of the time, it's cheaper to maintain a building or a place than to leave it trashy, and then it has an effect on how people behave, and then it has a ripple effect on our health. So I don't know, sometimes we need to weigh better, I feel, the money we talk about.
This is the most important thing in the world. And I think also we shouldn't see people, we shouldn't think that people are unable, to take care of their own place. And I think that also connects a lot to the amount of ownership that we give to any human being or any community to be able to take care of their place. I think about this a lot of times, that when when you live in dormitory with other people, and the time that you clean the space, that you are the one that is cleaning the dormitory, you are very careful, not to pour anything, or you even talk to other flatmates, be careful, I just cleaned that, don't come with shoe, be careful how you eat and stuff like that. So I feel if we are the one, that we take care of our space, we then want to take care of it continuously, because we feel an ownership and we feel love for it. I feel like
Yeah.
The times that I don't, take care of our home or clean it, or I cannot love it also, because you're so disconnected
Yeah.
from the space that you're living in. But I think this can be also seen in a bigger,
Yeah.
scale of a city. For example, when I was living in Iran or Cyprus, whenever I was seeing a piece of trash on the floor, I was taking it off. And it's not that there are not people there to do that, but the culture is more of a diffused care. So if you see something, it's also your responsibility.
Yeah.
You're living in this city. So I was taking off the trash. But I did this a couple of times, in my first years here, and it seemed so weird. It's like, what the hell are you doing? It's not your responsibility, because here, like, the responsibilities are very defined.
Yeah.
And the care is only the responsibility of a part of a population. And you do not mess with that, So I think because we also feel that we are not responsible to take care of our environment, then it also impacts the maintenance of the spaces, and in a long term, how we behave towards our neighborhoods or towards our spaces and our city. But here we don't have ownership, so we don't take care of it. We don't see it even as our responsibility.
Yeah, while shouldn't be like this, because as you were saying, when you live in a place, why you are not taking care of the place? And yeah, and it's again, how do you break those silos? Because at the end, care is not healthcare. Because at the end, we feel that care, it's disease and it's health, while it's basically, it is something much more diffuse. And maybe if we just knew how much it's
Impact.
worth it,
Yeah.
taking care of ourselves and another person beside I'm going to the gym
Yeah.
and I'm exercising.
I'm meditating 3 minutes in the morning.
Yeah. Which is really easy, but even care needs, as you were saying, is a relationship, so
Yeah.
it needs care and time and a lot of patience as well.
Yeah, and a lot of diffusion, because if care is not a part of your everyday life, then putting it, like I say, Tuesdays from 9 to 10, I
Yeah.
care, then it becomes much, it won't happen. But when, as you're living in your also city environment, it's a part of your life to take care of it.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't become as unnatural, and also it creates a relationship with the place that you're living in, because I feel right now our cities or our neighborhoods are only transitioning as spaces. Especially before COVID, our homes were only the places that we would sleep in. The streets and the city was only the place that we would transition to work, and then the workplace was where
Your work.
you work, you spend most of your time in. But basically, we didn't have any relationship with our spaces to make them a place. So yeah, until we don't have relationship with it,
Yeah, you cannot have care.
you can't care.
No, you cannot. But there are so many things we can do. We can really do, like in terms of even public space, to foster those relationships, and again to make them free.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy that you have to pay basically for everything. I'm thinking even of speed dating. Now you need to pay also to find love.
No, it's really crazy. Or a warm place to hang out with people in winter. You have to go to a cafe or a restaurant. There's no other option.
Yeah, there are libraries, but in some of them you cannot speak.
Yeah, so you can read and learn about care.
Yes, you can. Oh.
Yeah, but it's also very much a cultural thing, no?
Yeah,
like it's
it
the
is.
culture that came with consumerism.
Yeah.
And like it went through all of our parts of our lives. Like how in time the idea of obsolescence came to whatever we use, like our clothes with fast fashion, our mobile phones with, you remember the first Nokias? That we
Yeah,
were
dude, the
living?
one with snake.
They were living for 10 years.
Forever.
They could fall down from anywhere, and they were okay. But over time, because of this, what is it called, the policy of the companies, we also learned, first subconsciously, but now I think also consciously, not to take care of our stuff, but to see them as something that we have it for 1 year. Then you either get tired of it, or it doesn't work anymore, and you have to put it to waste. And how much this again impacted climate change, waste management,
or it's
resource
not
depletion.
trendy sometimes. It's not trendy anymore.
It's crazy. I was checking like on the trends of checking for phones, like searching them online, and basically in the first 2 years you have a trend going high, and after 6 years basically nobody searches for that phone anymore. And we were talking with Rick that we have 5 phones in our home that we are not using it anymore because partially they're not working in their best, but also nobody wants to buy it because it's so much out of trend. So with this culture of consumerism, we are also learning every day not to take care of whatever we have and just put it to trash, use it, exhaust it, waste it, not repair it.
Because and the same goes to fast fashion. We are so much bombarded with new clothes, like every 3 months there is a new line of clothes, a new trendy things,
and different from the other one.
And they are different, and I don't know, people feels like they need those. But then if you really look at how many clothes you can wear, I don't know, in a week, in a month, I'm pretty sure you cannot wear your whole wardrobe. It's pretty impossible.
No, it's
then of course I know if it's what your passion is in, if it's what makes you feel good. I'm not saying do not do it, but of course there are ways you can do it more, mindfully again. But even for yourself, for your
pocket,
for your pocket, because at the end it's cheap. But I don't know, if you make account for the whole year, it's going to be expensive.
And if again, you can be creative with your clothes. You can, without consuming.
And the thing that we don't think about, who is doing those clothes. Because at the end of the chain there is someone somewhere that is making those clothes make them so cheap, and they are losing it, completely, compared to you making, having your new t-shirt.
No, of course.
So being mindful is also about that. Knowing where your food is coming from, where your clothes are coming from. Not that we can do a lot maybe sometimes, but at least you can try.
And I think the best way of trying is not to buy as much, because there's so much marketing campaign around that. Okay, have this bottle to be more sustainable, have this cup, have this new t-shirt, but just have what you have and use it for a longer amount of time. You don't need to again buy something green and put everything that you had in trash. The best way to be green and sustainable is not to use as much, instead of buying a green or sustainable marketing stuff or things like that. So it's weird. It's it's a weird
but
thing.
Again, we are human, so we do what our environment kind of influence us to do sometimes. So we really need to dig out in our consciousness, in our mind sometimes, to feel how to do things in a different way. Because status quo is what's the easier thing.
The point is that, the way that our lives are right now, that again, because we don't have access to human beings, because we don't like to take care of them, our friendship and whatever. So our life is between work and spending time scrolling. And how much can you really widen your thought or your brain when you really don't have space to talk to different people, or people with different points of view from you, to really widen your approach to
yeah.
how you live, because again, lack of diffusion and very specific spaces, and also again within our social spaces, the TikTok and Instagram, we are again living in our own bubble,
Yeah.
which makes it hard.
I mean, I'm hopeful because at the end we are, again, we are human, and sometimes we need just one experience on one thing to, you know, make us deepen our thoughts. And there's this cool theory. Oh, I always go with theories, but I think it's called the 7 degrees of separation.
Okay.
And it's about the fact that from me and another person, there are like 6 or 7 person between each other.
Yeah.
So it's again about, we are all connected at the end. So I feel that it just needs one light bulb sometimes
Oh, that's true.
to get that shift. Although the hardest thing is to keep up, you know, new habits or you know, new things. But the shift is, maybe it's easy. It's easier than it seems.
Yeah. It needs that one catalyzer.
Yeah, it does.
So I think we talked a lot, as always. And yeah, we touched on a couple of important things, I'm guessing. So yeah, this episode was a little bit a more general overview or talk, or open talk about what care is, and kind of a little bit how it can connect to cities and our public spaces. So I guess if I want to sum up, I would say
Please do.
we can have care for people and for the environment. Then the people can start from caring for ourselves, caring to the people closer to us, or what you call as family, then caring for all people, no matter, you know, their gender, their ethnicity, their family structure, their ability, and all those things. So this is the people part. And then we can have the care for the environment. So the environment in itself can be the natural environment, then our cities and villages, and then our homes and our neighborhoods, or the spaces that we go in. So blah, blah, blah. So, but, so the next seasons are gonna be basically about these issues. And before that, I'm gonna just read what care means based on Cambridge Dictionary. So care is a process of protecting someone or something and providing what that person or thing needs. So we are basically going to look at cities and look at what people from different ages or genders need in a city, and talk about how we can make more caring cities to kind of answer to the needs of these different groups of people.
Yeah.
And then we are gonna end up with caring for nature. So we are gonna think about what nature gives us, and then what nature needs, and how we can make cities, and in our case, because cities, we're living in a city, but of course villages, we don't know, but how we can make cities with the care for nature and the environment.
Yeah.
All those things. I don't know if I was clear.
They will tell us. I think you were. No. Cannot wait, and hopefully we make it less chatty.
And I should be less philosophical and come on the ground.
But we like philosophy's part.
It's a part of our lives.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining, and from now on we will have Khadija with us. Let's see if she won't escape.
I won't.
We have it here. She says she won't. This is the contract.
This is the contract.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Khadija.
Thank you
for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you to our dear listeners.
Bye.
See you, and bye. And let us know what you care about.
Oh, take care.
Also.
Unintended.